So how much does it cost to get a trademark registered? It's a great question. And the first thing I want to point out is that getting a trademark application filed is not the same as getting a trademark registered. So when you're out there comparing prices, make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. And recognize for your own budget that getting the trademark application filed is the beginning. That is not going to be all you're going to spend. You might get lucky. It might go straight through, and you won't have to do anything else. But in most cases, especially now, they're pushing back a lot more. And so you should expect to have additional costs, no matter who you use to file it, additional costs after you file. And so keep in mind that in some cases, a super cheap filing might mean that they are sort of, just doing the low-hanging fruit or just making the filing as easy as possible with the idea that you will then be getting all this pushback, and then the cost of handling the pushback might be quite a bit more. So sometimes cheap filing may be a situation where cheap filing is costly to get all the way through. The other thing that cheap filing might be is it might make it costly to enforce, costly to actually use, or you might end up in a situation where it just blows up in your face. So it's important to consider that that a trademark application this is not a fungible thing. When you have, you have a situation, you have a brand that you want to protect, and the value of the application is going to be in how strategically, first of all, how well the attorney understands what you need. And that comes from having a conversation with you. If your cheap filing is just you fill out a form and says, this is the goods and services I want, and this is the mark I want, then you're cheating yourself out of or missing out on the value of legal strategy. And then you're basically just doing the application yourself, and they're just basically a liaison to the trademark office, and they're not putting any legal thought into it. This is a really important distinction that you understand, so I'm going to recommend that you plan on spending a couple $1,000s to get the trademark application filed, and then another couple $1,000s to get the trademark application all the way registered. Upon, especially if you've done any clearance, and that might be another couple $1,000s to trademark clearance, your attorney in this conversations that you're hopefully having with them should prepare you for, what they think in your case, after looking into it, what they would expect it to cost to get it all the way through. And then you may even have a conversation to say, you know what, I'd rather do the one that's cheaper to go through, and I don't really care if I'm limiting myself. That's your call. But again, the point being, when you're finding an attorney or looking for an attorney to do that, that is the process. That's the value you're getting from the attorney, is that conversation about, the strategy and what works for you. So if they don't know, if they haven't had a conversation with you, or they don't actually know what you need and what's important to you, your priorities, they're not going to really have an opportunity. They're not going to be very good at making that happen for you. So that's one thing. The other thing to keep in mind is the cost of not registering your trademark. So again, you're looking at, you have two roads that you can take: registered, not registered. And by the way, I'm talking about registered at the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So an unregistered trademark may be what you have now. If you decide not to register your trademark, then you are going down a road that leads to very expensive enforcement. And it also leads down a road of having a harder time enforcing your trademark, because not only is it more costly, it's also more difficult. So it's more ineffective, harder to stop copycats, because you have to prove everything. You have to prove where you're using it and when. And anytime you have to prove stuff in court, that is legal fees, that is expensive. So with the registered trademark, you get the benefit of all kinds of presumptions that make it so that you don't have to provide evidence at all. You just rely on your filing date. And then the other side has the burden of producing evidence to challenge your trademark. And those presumptions, there's actually another one that happens after 5 years. It's a huge advantage. It saves you thousands and thousands of dollars, at least tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of your trademark, having that registration. So, deciding that you don't want to spend a couple $1,000s or even $10,000 to get your trademark registered when it's brand new and you're just about to invest all kinds of money in marketing, I would say reconsider that, compare the cost. I know it's one thing, it's money now instead of money later, but what you invest in getting your a really good, strong and strategic trademarks registered early, you will save tens of thousands, maybe even $100,000 or more in litigation costs in over the course of the life of your trademark, because you will be able to present that registration certificate, which is just going to save you a ton in legal fees. It's also going to, like I said, it's also much more effective at getting copycats to back down with just a cease and desist letter. Because if they were to come to me and present a registered trademark, and this happens sometimes, I look at that, and if it's a conflict, I will tell them, look, you guys are going to lose because this registered trademark is strong and it predates your use. So consider it a lesson learned and change your trademark, change your name. That saves you the cost of even having to file a lawsuit. So again, cost of registering the trademark. Think about the cost of filing, a couple $1,000 plus a couple $1,000 to get it all the way through. Compare that to the cost of not registering your trademark, which you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars or more over the course of the trademark's life. Hope that was helpful. Catherine Cavella, IP Works Law.